Welcome to the network. Welcome to the Two Dads edition. Wait,
That's not it.
start again.
Two Dads, Gen X edition.
What was that?
I said, how are you today, Dawson?
That's not what you said.
No, it's, today we're talking about the divorce, our divorces, and how it builds our character, destroys our character, but not to become the villain in our story. But before we go on, though, what happened to your Lego house? Because it's like...
Yeah, I mean, I was so
time it was-
excited. I finally was able to afford a house, and then I realized in the divorce I lost half of it. So I only have half a X-Men mansion now.
yeah, typical
Sad.
divorce.
I can only write off half of it now.
So, all right, so
You
today...
need to keep all the kids.
there's a couple missing.
Yeah, I lost Wolverine too. Oh, well.
Right, there's parental alienation. No.
So today we're talking about divorce and character
Yep.
and how not to become the villain as a man in the story of that divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone gets married thinking that they're starting off in a romantic comedy. It's great. It's wonderful. Then suddenly you kind of end up in a courtroom drama, not as good as Night Court, but it just kind of makes you wonder, like, where did I go wrong?
Yeah.
Or it should make you go, where did I go wrong?
Yeah.
And kind of where it went wrong.
Well, and like going through divorce, it's something where it really tests you. I've done it twice, sadly.
I mean, you're getting so good at it.
No, I don't want to get good at it. No, but it tests your character, it tests your discipline. It really tests your identity.
Yeah.
I first divorce, it was like 5 kids, 15 years of marriage. And it's like everything that I knew all of a sudden was gone. So I think this is going to be a good topic.
Like as a man or like as a man and a father? Or
Man,
like,
father, husband, all of it.
All of it?
Like all
Yeah.
the things that I identified myself as were all of a sudden up in the air, and I had no idea how it was going to end up. And
Yeah.
that was very, very challenging. That was really hard.
Yeah, so we want to break it down into 4 sections. Basically, the emotional storm of divorce.
Mhm.
You go through those emotions and struggle with it, and then the victim trap and the villain narrative.
Yep.
They always try to make the man the
Victim or the
victim- or
villain.
the villain,
Yeah,
you know.
the guy is the asshole always.
always. Strategies to surviving of divorce. I think
Mhm.
that would have been great if we kind of learned that. I mean, you
Yeah.
applied some of it your second time.
Well, and I when I work with clients, I give them some guidance based on my experience.
Yeah, and
So-
then fatherhood, character, and kind of rebuilding your life after divorce.
Yeah.
I
that's important.
know you've touched a lot of this stuff in the past, but I
Mhm.
think this is kind of the one that is really important for any man and woman to understand. And I think if you really take to heart a lot of these things that we're going to point out, you can save yourself a lot of heartache
Yep.
and pain and manipulation by her lawyer and stuff like that.
Yeah, because there are some common things that happen in a divorce that if you know what's coming, then you can plan for it, and it doesn't mean it's not going to happen anyway. But instead of feeling shell shocked by the surprise of it, then it really helps to navigate the process. So
Yeah.
we'll
All
get
right.
into some of that.
Let's two dads this.
Stuff.
Oh crap! It's gonna be a power phrase now.
Yeah.
All right. So the emotional storm of divorce.
Yeah.
So I think it's kind of important. Like most men enter a divorce completely unprepared of how much their life's going to change. I think a lot of times you think, oh, we'll go do a parenting agreement. We'll figure out finances. The court's going to
Mhm.
be fair and understand. But
Start off the process of like, we'll get along and we're not going to be like everybody else. And
yeah, and you start to kind of realize you're dealing more with lawyers. You're dealing with custody conversations that start to make you feel like you're losing your family in a way that you're like, holy crap, my whole life is starting to collapse around me.
Yeah.
And that's just so hard to deal with. So really kind of wanted to talk about like the shock of when divorce becomes real.
Yeah.
To you.
Well, and the reality is like, for the most part, what is it? 80% of divorces are initiated by women,
Yeah.
right? 80, 85, something
That was
like
like the last one. Yeah.
that. 100% of lesbian divorces are
Caused
initiated
by
by
women.
women. I've said that before, but no, but like for my first divorce, like I'd just gotten out of the military, I'd medically retired, all this other stuff. We'd built a house. I felt like we were starting to kind of build a life, from the military. I didn't have to go to PT in the morning at 4 in the morning, 4:45 in the morning. I wasn't gone all day anymore. And so it's like, now we can actually like create the family life that we wanted. And then I felt blindsided. I was not expecting it. I thought we were actually heading in a pretty good direction. Hindsight, of course, is a great teacher, but the shock of like, we've been married for 14 and a half years ish at that point, had 5 kids, had gone through a bankruptcy together, deployment together, all this other stuff together. We even survived infidelity, where we stayed married for 6 years after I found out about that. And then to have her just say, I want a divorce. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah. And it just is like, and it's hard because you sort of feel like you have sudden lost control of your life. You feel like you get angry, you can get confused. You have the fear of like what's going to happen, where's going to go now. I mean, because most often the woman gets the house, and as we see with the X-Men mansion, and and so then you're the one having to change 100% of your life.
Yeah.
And it's all in the name for the kids to keep their lives as close to possible as to norm.
Right.
But it isn't norm. They're losing their dad half the time. They're losing their mom half the time. And so that mentality of we need to keep it as close to the same for the kids is kind of a lie to the kids. And it's really kind of like, well, no, I don't want, you just don't want me to disrupt your life too much, well, but you want me to completely reinvent my whole body and my whole life, my whole everything.
I remember like we were having this conversation, we told the kids, I think we told the kids at that point. But we were having this conversation when they went to school where she was like, well, who do you think should have the house? Who do you think should get primary custody? All this other stuff. And we had just gone through a few years of like trying to figure out some pretty significant health issues that she still has to this day because they're genetic. But I said, when they flare up, she's basically can't do anything, and so I said, well, because of this, I think I should have primary custody in the house, because if you have one of these reactions again and you can't function for 6 months, what's going to happen with the kids? She got pissed. And basically was like, how dare you, I'm the mother and the kids should always stay with the mother. And, you afforded me a lifestyle that's your responsibility to maintain. And I can destroy your life and I can make it to where you can never see the kids again because, all this other stuff. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. And I got not scared, but it was like, okay, well, we can talk through this, but it was like, it was this like, we were trying to navigate this, I thought.
Yeah.
And really what it was she was trying to find out where I was, and then she was going to try and go for whatever she wanted anyway.
Yeah.
And I think that happens a lot is oftentimes women get in their head that, oh, the woman gets the kids, they get the house, they get the alimony, they get all the stuff. And if you say anything other than that, then you're a jerk. You're an asshole.
Yeah. And honestly, like mine was reversed because she made a lot more than I did.
Mm-hmm.
And it was funny because like when it's the opposite, the guy makes a lot of money and verse, their whole goal is to take him down, take him for everything he has, get as much as you can from him. But when the woman makes more, we need to preserve, save it all.
Right.
Don't do anything. Don't allow him to take everything.
Yeah.
Screw this guy kind of attitude. And, and I fell in the trap of her being all, I know you're right. First she's pissed that I filed and kind of like, I think it was more of a fuck you, I wanted to do it kind of thing. Mm-hmm. and her lawyer, I think, said that, oh, whoever files usually wins. And it's like, that's right. I go, yeah, not necessarily, but
not anymore. It used to be that way kind of, but.
And so, we sat down and it's like, I want to keep the shock of it be minimal for our kids. I want to make it to where we don't have this huge disparity in a $1 million house versus an apartment, and they get to where they don't want to come. And it ultimately came down to that they just really didn't want to come as much because the luxury wasn't there as much.
Yeah.
But, the number one rule, don't move out of the house until the divorce is final. Because as soon as you move out on either side, you lose all ammunition, all negotiation.
Because you are basically determining who has primary custody by who stays with the kids.
And that was biggest mistake, but she did great of like sitting down and I want to figure out how to help you buy a house in the same school district. We'll get new furniture for you, and you're like writing it all down.
See how good I am. See how wonderful I'm being. Yeah,
that like I agree. I don't want to make it hard for our kids. And as soon as I moved out, fuck you, don't care.
Yeah.
You figure it out yourself. Don't
Well,
care.
and so like for mine, my first one, it was we tried to cohabitate, and it started off with trying to navigate the divorce. We're doing it ourselves because it's expensive and all that kind of stuff. And like she was going to do the paperwork, and we had talked about what we would do. And then she was like, "Well, I don't have time for this, and you need to do the paperwork." So I was like, "Fine, I'll do the paperwork." And it was a month and a half, 2 months later, and I hadn't finished the paperwork to submit to the court yet. And or no, it was I was working on it. She said I was taking too long. She wanted to do it, and a month and a half later, she's like, "I don't have time for this. You do it." And I'm like, "You're the one that wanted the divorce. Why am I the one writing all this stuff up? You're the one that wanted this, right?"
Yeah.
And I was in this idea of like this fantastical idea that if I was a better guy and if I was more polite and if I was more giving, maybe she'd actually want to keep the marriage.
Yeah.
Even when she was, going out and coming home at 2:00, 3:00 in the morning on dates with guys, because I was home with the kids, and so she could do whatever. And it's like I still was in that mindset, which is kind of sad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't want your family to fall apart. It's
And
it's
that
hard.
became my focus was, trying to create as much stability and create the life for the kids that the best they could get. And so I was willing to give her the house, and I was going to give her like $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
To make sure that bills were paid, the kids' needs were met, not for her, but for them.
Yeah. For the kids.
So,
yeah. Well, and it's really important that, divorce creates all these storms of emotions, anger, fear, frustration. And it's those moments, it's really easy to react negatively, and it's hard to think clearly. The more anxious someone gets, the less clear they think.
Yep.
And,
Yep.
Most often that first reaction during that storm often determines kind of how it's going to have that journey unfold in a way that's either good or positive, and that narrative can be switched really easy. And so it's just really important to remember that you're going to have these emotions, you're going to have these fears. It's learning to control it and kind of go that. And what, in segment 2, we definitely will dive into how not to become that victim and the villain. So, hey, hit that like and subscribe button.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments how you felt during your divorce, what you really struggled with, and how you as a man or a woman felt just kind of blindsided in a way that just shocked you.
Yeah. Did you have that same kind of experience as me where it felt out of the blue? But let us know what your experience was.
So segment 2, that victim trap and the villain narrative, kind of once that emotion hits with you, a lot of men fall into that biggest trap of being the victim. Like, oh, poor me. I have to move out. I have to do this. I think for me, one of the big eye openers in our marriage counseling, it was funny because my ex, she's like, well, should Dawson move out? And I remember that the therapist's face was like this. She goes, yeah, I don't think that's going to turn out how you think. He's going to have more free time. He's going to not have you taking the kids to school, picking them up, cook dinner, cleaning the house, maintaining the house, mowing the lawn.
Yeah.
All those things anymore. So he's going to have more free time to himself. She's like, but you will too. But I think it'll be harder for you guys to work this out if he moves out.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like a really big eye open for me. So it was hard to not feel hurt and betrayed kind of from that and stuff.
Well, I think what happens oftentimes leading up to the divorce, the person that's the one that initiates the divorce, will go statistically, mostly women that are the ones that initiate, they've been building this for a while. Talking with their friends, talking with their family, and this is how he treats me. This is what happened, and they get this narrative in their head of, oh, he treats you so badly. Oh, you're such a victim, and all. Sometimes it's valid, right? Sometimes it's valid. Oftentimes it's not, because it's about perspective.
Yeah.
If your wife says, hey, I'm going to girls' night with my friends, and the husband's like, no, I'm not comfortable with that. You're controlling, and so all of a sudden he's abusive because he's controlling, and because, all this other stuff. And it's like, he's not letting you spend money. He's controlling the money. That means he's being financially abusive. He got upset because you were, whatever. And it's like, now you're verbally abusive because you got upset about something. And it creates this victim trap where it's like, you're looking at the other person's behavior rather than reflecting on your own
Yeah.
and then justifying your actions based on that interpretation and creating the villain in the story because it makes you feel better.
Well, and it's so easy to flip that. I literally just saw a clip of a guy that found his wife at 1 a.m. drunk at a bar with their trainer, and he calls her out and
Yeah.
leaves with her. And as he's driving, he realizes, like, I can't believe this bitch did this to me,
Yeah.
and he's like, why am I taking her home? And so he literally stops in the middle of the street of Miami, like the downtown Miami, and drags her out of the car and throws her into a bush. He goes, find your own way home.
I mean, that's
extreme.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest doing that.
But the whole narrative of the comments is, what an asshole, what an asshole, an asshole. Not one person saying she cheated on him.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, or
and
like
he overreacted, and now he's
the
villain.
Yeah.
And
And then
like,
there's another one that I saw about a week ago or so, and it's this woman. She got pregnant by another guy, and the guy's like, "We're done. We're getting divorced. It's not my kid. I'm not." And she's like, "No. Why are you trying to destroy our family?" And he's like, "What family? That's not my kid." And it's this. It's almost like a delusion.
yeah.
It's almost like a delusion where it's like, well, yeah, I screwed up, but we're still a family and we're still together. And it's not but and if you say no, then you're the asshole, And so that bitterness and the resentment that can take over because of that stupidity, because of that delusionary mindset of I'm the victim.
Well, yeah. And the thing is you can let that kind of take over you and control you in a way that
It
you
does
start,
take over,
you
yeah.
start going, oh, I can't go get a job. Oh, I hate being here alone.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I wish I had my kids, and I mean, I always felt that way, but it's one of those things where
Oh, it sucks.
you can embrace the victim
Mhm.
and basically have a miserable life afterwards. And I think people don't realize that first year after divorce, it's hard. I mean, you're readjusting, you have a sense of loss, you're going to have some depression. I mean, it's all natural. Anytime you have a major life change, it's natural to have a phase of depression. It's how you deal with it that helps you grow or become a victim. And
yeah, and
so
part of the risk of that is that you get into this narrative of who was right, who was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And this right or wrong kind of thing, like she did this or he did that. It's like, I'm right, they're wrong. It's natural. It's normal. We don't want to be wrong. We don't want to be told we're wrong. We don't want to admit that we're wrong. But we don't grow, we don't learn, we don't improve unless we're able and willing to look at ourselves and find out, what did I do to contribute to this? Now, there is no divorce out there that is 100% one person's fault and 0% another person's fault.
Correct. 100%.
Ever.
Correct. 100%.
Ever. There is no 100% one, 0 the other.
Yeah.
But there can be like a 90-10 or a 60-40 or, there's variations in responsibility. Like, there's somebody that I know that he found out his wife was cheating. And he's like, I'm not going to do this. She'd been treating him not great, yelling at him, all this kind of stuff when he's just working hard.
Yeah.
Providing a good life, but sacrificing time from the family to provide that life. And she would then, kind of dog on him for doing it, for spending that time away from the family, critical of all this other stuff. And then he finds out that she's sleeping with another guy.
Yeah.
And so he was like, get the fuck out.
Which is kind of ironic because it kind of makes her more, generally when you start having an affair, you start treating the person you're married to worse.
Yeah.
You start neglecting him more to justify your behavior kind of thing.
And it did. Yeah. And so like he would get angry and, it was, well, you this, you that, it's your fault, this and that. And he's like, fuck you, it's your fault. You're the one that, and it becomes this back and forth because it's this competition of who's right and who's wrong. And that doesn't help anything.
Yeah, no, it really doesn't. And the thing is, I think when we did marriage counseling, I loved our counselor because she's like, every single person in this planet would cheat. You put them in the wrong scenario, you're miserable. I mean, studies have shown that if you're not having sex for more than 2 months, and most often it's the woman, it's because, one, she no longer respects you as a man. She's not attracted to you anymore. And she has mentally made a decision to move on from that relationship. Now, the bad part is a lot of people will stay in a marriage because it's convenient. It's easy. And they try to get their cake and eat it too, while the other one's eating, Oreo cookies.
Yeah.
But they're not good cookies. They're stale from being left out kind of thing. And so, it's really important to not let your reactions and your emotions kind of dictate what you do, because as soon as you start becoming that villain, it's so much easier for that other person to make that the narrative.
Absolutely.
And they will
That
totally do
happened
that.
both times for me, where I was the villain. And I actually give this advice to clients and stuff. And this is something that I actually learned. I kind of learned it from my mother. My parents are still married and they're happily married. They've been married for years, but I kept on trying to counter all of these accusations. So I'd get like these text messages from my first wife, and she'd be, it'd be about like the kids or something. And then it would devolve into like, I'm the asshole for this, or I'm the one that this, or I'm whatever. And it's like, no, this is what's going on. And this is what, and it would become this back and forth. And then finally, I was talking to my mom about this, and she was like, why are you even engaging in that?
Mm-hmm.
You are just inviting her to argue more. And I was like, duh.
Yeah.
And so I had this realization. This is the advice that I give to people. They're going to make you into the asshole anyway. Don't be the asshole, but just embrace the fact that that's what they're going to turn you into. And so don't worry about it.
Yeah.
They will find whatever. It's a confirmation bias. If I think you're an asshole, I'm going to look for reasons why you're an asshole.
Yep. 100%.
That is exactly what's going to happen. So whether you are the villain or not is almost arbitrary.
Yeah. And great examples of ways you become the villain is emotional text, not Texas, but the state of Texas, but
yeah.
Texting,
texting emotionally.
You're getting angry and you're frustrated, and of course we read text how we are emotionally feeling in that moment.
Yep.
And so if you're feeling insecure, the text is going to be insecure. If you're feeling angry, then that simple, honest text is, hey, we're able to get this done. Oh, fuck. Well, no, I mean, I don't know. You get defensive and kind of react, and then your response makes you more of the villain. Social media posts, posting horrible things about your ex on social media isn't going to make your ex look worse to get people on your side. It just makes you look like a dick.
Yeah, it's going to make you look like a dick. Both sides.
And women doing that too. It just looks like, why are you being so angry? I mean, honestly, Sinara dealing with somebody in her life that's doing that exact thing, where she's trying to make someone the villain, and really it's just that person's the villain, and it's like we're just not engaging in it. We're like, all right, whatever you do.
And that is the best way to handle it, is to just not engage. And if somebody's like, well, you did this and you did this, this is the response that I started giving. If this is the way the conversation's going, I'm not participating in the conversation.
Yeah,
and then you don't respond at all after that. They're going to keep on going. But you teach people how to treat you by the way you react to them.
Yeah.
And so if they're not getting you to engage in the argument, they're not getting the satisfaction of having to argue, because every time that you respond, you're inviting them to do more.
Yeah, 100%. And I shouldn't even have to tell people this, but don't fucking argue with your ex in front of people.
Yeah.
During divorce. I mean, that's just going to make...
Especially the kids.
It's just going to...
Especially the kids. The kids don't need to be put in.
And the kids are going to see things wrong. And it's just avoid it at all costs. So, hey, if you like our content and you're enjoying
what we're talking about so far,
our stories, hit that like and subscribe button and let us know what you think in the comments of maybe how you became a victim, or something that you did stupidly and just kind of turned the whole divorce upside down because of it.
Yeah, because we all fall into that trap, and it's a very emotionally charged thing. So tell us the experience about recognizing the trap you fell into.
100%. All right, so let's move on to strategies to surviving a divorce.
Yes. This is such an important one. So, biggest thing when it comes to surviving divorce is emotional resilience.
Yes, 100%.
The ability to stay calm when at the times that you need to be calm. Like we talked about it earlier, where it's like when the conversation is going downhill and you're just feeling yourself get more angry because you don't, it's unjustified. And so you're going to prove yourself and you're going to prove them wrong, and you're going to, it doesn't matter. Stay calm. Don't engage. The resilience is built by carrying heavy burdens, and divorce is a heavy burden. But you find your strength as you are challenged and as you successfully overcome those challenges. And so one of the strategies that I was told by my attorney and by my father, who is an attorney, is the one who gets angry first loses in court. And so stay stoic. Don't get emotional.
Yeah, and I think what's important too is a lot of people, when they start having that victim mentality, they isolate. They don't go out. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
And one thing I learned really well is, I got a dog. We went on walks. I met some people in my neighborhood, went to the pool every day, just kind of hung out, and then started exercising, and then started going to old Chicago and just met more friends there. And it just made me feel happy and, helped me cope with it. And, and I did therapy. Like, we really do preach therapy a lot on our podcast.
I mean, I am a therapist, so.
But it definitely shows that. And that's that emotional side of that, the strategy. Now, the mental side, which also kind of helps with that, I think it's important to remember that through divorce, I mean, it's a short-term thing. It's a blip in your life. It's just a clip. It's not long-term.
Feels like
it has
it's going to last forever.
effects, because your kids are, separate and stuff like that. But these emotions right now are just really short-term, and it's really important. Like when you're getting a text arguing with your spouse, that don't fall for those unnecessary conflicts. Focus on rebuilding your life, rather than kind of reliving the arguments over and over again. I think that's one thing is we can just get in our head and go over stuff over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I know
obsess over it.
One thing I did is like, how could I have been a better husband? How could I have done this better? What could I have done? And I look back, there's nothing I could have done. No. There's nothing I could have done to change how she reacted, what she did in our marriage.
There are always things that we could have done better, but we're not the reason they asked for a divorce. They asked for a divorce because they decided to. They did not talk about the things that bothered them. They did not give us a chance to work on it and overcome it. And if they did, then they didn't give us the credit of the progress we were making because it didn't match the narrative that they had, or it didn't match the timeline that they had. When I work with couples, one of the things that I point out is if you're talking to them about what you would like them to change, and they recognize the value of it and they're working on it, it's not going to get where you want it to be in the time frame that you want. But if they are making the effort, recognize and value that they're making the effort. You don't encourage that growth by criticizing the lack of the timeline, right? And so we get caught up in that, and we get caught up in the idea of obsessing over what ifs, right?
Yeah, I mean, how many times we heard, well, I told him how I felt, and he did it for like a week. And then, okay, well,
in that week, did you point it out and say thank you?
Did you reiterate the, hey, I really appreciated the effort you're putting in. Thank you for doing that. And we're not talking about, oh, I wish he was 5'8" and he got heels to get taller. I mean, we're talking about more like, hey, I'm always the one cleaning the house. Can you kind of just help me every once in a while?
And avoid the trap of the words always and never.
Yeah, never say those things. I
said it by avoid the trap of, right? No, because it's like always. Does he really always do this thing every single time? The entire marriage? No. You're just very sensitive to it. You're or does she always, criticize? Is she all, no, of course not.
Yeah.
It may happen more frequently, but the trap of saying, well, you never, or you always, it's not true. It's not true.
And I know for me, when my ex would do that, I would just go, okay, this conversation's done.
Yeah. Because there's no point.
Like, what do you mean? I'm like, because I know that's not true. So I'm going to argue against it. And then the whole point of the argument isn't that I didn't help you. It's me trying to prove to you that I don't always do it, or I never not do it.
Yeah.
And so it's like, tell me exactly what you need and want. And it goes back to our episode about healthy communication. It's when you did this, it made me feel this way. Can you do this instead? I think I might respond better if you did this. And there's going to be trial and error, kind of thing. Just like after the divorce, you're learning trial and error. And honestly, if you're not one of those people that sits back and say, what did I do wrong? What could I have done better? How can I be a better person for the next person?
Right.
You're not going to, the next one's going to end up in divorce too.
Yep. and it's common. And so like looking at the long-term, what's best for my kids, what's best for me, even what's best for her. Right.
Yeah.
Because if she's really that angry and she really wants that divorce, even if the relationship is, can be fixed, that kind of thing, if she's just set on leaving, okay, all right, you know what? You can leave. But that leads to like more practical strategies. How do you actually implement all this, right?
Yeah. I mean, you look at communicating carefully.
Yep.
I noticed in my divorce when she was going to be the bad person or do something negatively that would reflect in the divorce, it was a phone call.
Yeah.
And so she avoided the text. And
Yeah.
so I got to the point from being, told by a therapist is like, if they come in with a negative intro, you just go, I'm not going to do this. Can you
Yep.
text me what you're thinking about? So you
Yeah.
want things to be short to the point. You want documentation. So it's like either via text, email. They have the parenting apps now. You just, everything's recorded. And the nice thing about the parenting apps is they actually use that in court, if they need to.
If they need to.
And that's the
Courts
thing.
don't like to do that because it becomes this back and forth. He said,
Yeah.
she said, but yeah, so phone calls, unless somebody's recording it, there's no proof, right?
Yep.
Personal conversations, there's no proof. So she can claim whatever, you can claim whatever. So text, email, things like that, especially when it comes to scheduling with the kids, activities, costs, anything like that. Make sure that it's through something that you can print off, text or email. But there are and I've run into this too, with clients, and then also for me too, where it's like, assume they're recording you.
100%.
Sadly, we're in a world where that's kind of a strategy people use. And I've had a client before that his ex-wife, because it was more about custody at that point, but his ex-wife had their daughter recording when he came for the situation. He was really, really angry, and he was referred to me by his attorney. And the attorney was like, I don't know how we're going to overcome this. Well, after listening to these recordings that she provided to the court, it obviously was entrapment.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
And she tried to make it out where this time that he was really, really angry, that this is how he always was. Well, and so I was meeting with him and his daughter and asked her, I had him leave the room, and I asked her, I was like, this was pretty scary when he did that. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it made you pretty sad. Yeah, it did. Yeah, it did. Has he ever done this before? I mean, how many times has he been like that before? Oh, never. Well, since then, has he ever done anything like that? No, he's great. And so this narrative of like, he's this angry, verbally abusive guy was like totally not true. And when I shared that with the attorney, because I had a permission by the clients to do that, the attorney was like, really? Oh, that changes everything.
Yeah.
So like
100%.
the day before court, when I was actually going to appear in court as a witness, I got a call from the attorney's office like, hey, we got this part resolved. We don't need you.
You're like, sweet. He helps us out.
But
and that's the good thing is like, you don't ever want to assume anything.
Right.
Except for assume you're being recorded at all times. But honestly, if you're a good person and you're doing what's best for your kids, you try. But the thing is you want to make it short.
Yeah.
You said, keep the communication only about the kids.
Yeah.
And only about specific things. If you're arguing back and forth who gets the fucking couch, just fucking let her have the couch. It's like, it's not that
Facebook
important.
Marketplace, you can find a great couch real cheap.
It's one of those things. It's like stuff is stuff. You'll get new stuff. And honestly, it'll probably be mean more down the road because it's not stuff you got with your ex.
Yeah.
It's new stuff because you're rebuilding your life and you want to focus that. We talked about avoiding public conflict and drama. Don't be the dad that gets to the soccer 5 minutes late and then you make drama about it because you're there. I'm here.
Yeah.
And she makes
or get drawn into the drama because she's like, oh, you're late all the time in front. Because if there's an audience, she's trying to create a narrative with everybody else around. The less you engage in that, the better it's going to be.
Yeah, we loosely say she. We're we're guys. We feel like
we're coming from the male perspective.
So it's there are guys that do that too.
Oh, absolutely. There's guys that are total assholes in divorce.
And these strategies really do work for both men and women. It's just like you keep it short to the point.
And I think something really important is. Sorry, go ahead.
Just kind of reiterating what we said.
Yeah, but I think there's the reputation aspect of it. And this one was really personal for me, especially in the first divorce, because I got accused of all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And there were mutual friends, that all of a sudden stopped talking to me. All of a sudden started treating me differently. And when I found out like what was being said and stuff like that, I was pissed because it's like, but you know me, you know that I wouldn't do that. You know that I don't act that way. People are going to believe whatever it is that they're going to believe. And it becomes this process of discovering who actually knows you, who actually cares about you, and who actually is your friend.
Yeah. 100%.
Somebody who may have been a great friend before, and all of a sudden they think that you're this horrible person because they believe the narrative. Now you know who they really are, and you can free yourself of that toxic person in your life. You take all these people around you and you focus in on those that actually value who you are. And so your reputation for the people who don't care about you is going to be whatever narrative that the other person creates for you. It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Take your time. I mean, sometimes the strongest move in a divorce is just refusing to engage in the chaos. I mean, it really is
the strongest move.
So,
yeah. So
hey,
let us know in the comments what you think.
We're always like, hey.
But, like, follow, subscribe, let us know what survival looked like for you. What were things that you found yourself falling into the trap of? And, what were some of the successes and how you handled it? But
all right. So let's move on to our last segment, fatherhood, character, and rebuilding your life. I think this one really hits home for both of us because obviously we've done it. I think one big thing I learned, like you said, you learn who your friends are. I had friends that we did, yearly trips, enjoyed them, trusted them beyond control, and I lost them, like you said.
Yeah.
And just like I tried to understand why. And I had one of them tell me, well, now that you're single, they just don't want me hanging out with you.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can't control that.
No, but that's the thing. It's like, okay, I'm not going to try and argue to keep you as a friend. If you're already siding with them, go ahead. And not being hurt or angry by it. It just is, right?
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing, which I think a lot of women think men don't give a shit about their kids in a divorce, or they're not really, oh, you're just going to be a playboy, you're going to do this and that. That goes the assumption on their side, and vice versa. I think, most men want to be part of their kids' lives, and they really do want to do what's best for them, and they want to minimize trauma. The ones that act out and really don't, like if the view of it comes across that way. I mean, I saw great men become just monsters during the divorce and self-implode. And that's the sad thing, is when you become the victim, you naturally become the villain. What is that, the Marvel saying? It's like, you're the hero so long that you naturally become the villain, right? And so we all have demons inside. We all have darkness. We all have those things. And I think when we realize in a divorce, your whole goal is to make yourself the best person you can be to move forward, which will project onto your kids.
Yeah.
You control your time with your kids. Now, if you have an ex that's manipulating and trying to take that time away and you allow it, that's your choice. My dad, he let my stepmom allow that.
Yeah.
I had an ex that was trying to do that with me. She was trying to get me to pick her over my kids. And fuck that. And I've never let that happen.
Right.
And if I realized that sooner, I wouldn't have been with her at all. Like, I'm sorry, I'm going to pick my kids, not
I did
down the road, but
she wasn't good for you.
The goal is when you're getting remarried, you're trying to blend the life, try to do that stuff. And I'd recommend if you're getting to a second relationship where you're blending the families, go to therapy. Like, learn how to do that. Learn how to be that step parent, because people think that you're coming in to replace somebody,
right?
And you're not. You're more like a teacher kind of thing, and that's a whole nother topic we can go down to.
Yeah, one of the things that I have talked with clients about, that I had one early on where it was a very, very difficult, toxic co-parenting situation. And he would get angry because he'd see the manipulation. He'd try and convince his kids, all that kind of stuff. And I started telling him, this is a long game. This is a long game with your kids. Your kids his kids were teenagers and one was an adult. But it was like, they'd been going through this for years. And it's like, who do you want your kids to see you as? You want to be that strong, stable presence. You want to be reliable. You want to be a place of love. You want to be, you want to be a parent for your kids, that they know that you are there. You are a foundation for their lives. So that's how you need to behave. That's the kind of home you need to create. That's the kind of relationship you need to create. Doesn't mean that you're not going to get upset. You're not going to get frustrated. You're not going to yell sometimes, things like that. That you're not going to be hurt. It's going to come out.
Yeah.
But if that becomes the focus, especially because there's a lot of relationships, my bias is that I think there's a lot more women who have BPD that men go for, because it's like love bombing, but then you get the chaos too.
BBD.
Borderline personality
Okay,
disorder.
I was like, you gotta let us know that,
But then as co-parenting, you can't really co-parent with somebody like that.
Yeah.
Because they use the kids against you, they manipulate all this other stuff, and so it's
100%.
like you can't fall into those traps, right?
All right.
You have to be the stable one. You have to endure it, because this is what happens almost every time. If men do it right, and vice versa, if it's a crazy guy and being a stable mom, that kind of thing, the stable parent is the one that gets abused by the kids the most, gets taken advantage of, gets called names, gets, I hate you, all that kind of stuff, right? If you can endure that, because it's hard, but if you can endure that, eventually what happens as the kids get older, they start recognizing that the other parent is the chaotic one.
Well,
and that you're the stable one, and they start seeing those patterns and they gravitate towards the stability. That's what they want. That's what they need.
Yeah. And I think, and you're actually taking the kind of like the Disney Island parent and then the stable parent.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I think our relationship, we really did put the kids first. We were always civil. We always did really well.
Which is great.
Never talked bad about the other parent, because hello, your kids are half of that person. And if you're saying, I hate when your mom does this, or I hate when she does this, the kid, 100% of the kids I've ever talked to about that, they were like, literally like, crap. Well, I mean, I do that.
Yeah.
Does my dad hate me
because
I do that? And they won't tell you that.
Nope,
they'll
won't
flat
say
out
it.
tell you, be like,
but they'll start being distant.
And that's something I kind of had to learn. And so I didn't talk bad about my ex, because I knew that they both have traits of my ex.
Yeah.
And she isn't a bad person. She's actually a really good person. She's nice. Just we were not good for each other. We didn't respect each other. We didn't love each other. It's one of those things where we probably did, but we still got married, and then we had kids. And one thing is, once I started having kids, I'm like, okay, this is my family. This is who I am. Like, I don't want the relationship my mom had and my dad had. I want to be there for my kids. And with the divorce, I actually embraced it a different way. Like, my whole goal, like, I was spending 3 times more in an apartment to stay close to them. I was changing my schedule so I could be off on those games and stuff, which is really hard to do as a nurse, because it's like I have 12-hour days, and it's just I gotta work the 4 days, and it's just you lose your time. But my whole goal was everything's about my kids, and to help that transition. And please hit the episode if you don't know what to do for your kids. We have one that's putting your kids first in a divorce. Great episode, and really lays down how to help your kids transition.
Really
through
good
that
strategies. Yeah.
And, my biggest thing was showing that maturity through the pain, and embracing the environment, and helping them make decisions on where we live, what we do, how can we make the room more fun, just the living expense. And I had Friday night was our date night kind of thing. And I just try to always keep it light and simple, like it was when we were married.
Yeah.
And I tried to keep it the same. I never was like, my time, fuck you. Right. No, man, if the kid had a birthday party and it was my weekend, I'm not going to say, fuck that. It's my weekend. You can't go. Come on, man.
Well, but the thing is that becomes a discussion between the parents. The kids should not be involved in that.
Exactly.
It's not like you tell your kids, because the other trap that happens is that kids get stuck in this loyalty, this idea that they have to be loyal to one parent or the other. I strove to not talk bad about my kid's mom. I'm sure things slipped out because of my own hurt, my own anger.
They're all human.
But I didn't want them caught in the middle. I didn't want there to be a loyalty test, like, if you don't do what I want, then you don't love me, kind of thing. Or if you do this with your mom, then you don't love me. I didn't want to do that to my kids. Even now, if they want to go and visit her on Christmas or something like that, holiday, birthday, whatever, cool. I hope you have a great time. My youngest daughter's computer crashed at school. And she was like, Mom offered to buy a laptop. I'm like, great. Sounds wonderful. That's really kind of her to do. I'm not going to put my kids in a position, as much as I can think about it and be aware of it, to where there's this loyalty distance, or I'm trying to manage them to love me more than their mom kind of thing. Because no matter what my feelings are, they don't need that.
Yeah, 100%.
So,
and it is hard. And to be a true father, it's like swallowing your pride,
Yeah.
swallowing the hurt and the pain, and letting it go, because then you won't have that hurt and pain, and
Yeah.
you're going to grow from it. I mean, I, I I think the one thing that I was having a hard time with victim wise is I would plan these vacations, and then she would basically hijack them
Yeah.
and try to take over. And so I had two ways of thinking about it. I could go, okay, she's stealing my ideas, my vacations. How dare she get all pissed off? Or I go, you know what? She's actually recognizing these are things the kids really like to do.
Yeah.
And she's stepping out of her comfort zone to do those things with the kids. And what's
Yeah.
awesome is she ended up really liking it too. And now it's become this thing. And, but I also love that my daughter, held strong. It's like, nope, I want Yellowstone's with dad. And she's held that ground. Like, I remember when I took my Cubs to the Cubs spring training game.
When you brought your Cubs to the Cubs spring training?
My kids to the Cubs spring training game. They were my Cubs, my little Cub kids.
It worked.
It's something I had never done.
Yeah.
So it was like an experience with them that they got to do with them. We went to the Grand Canyon and then Four Corners and all this stuff that I wish I got to do as a kid. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to take my kids on trips that I wish I did, that I wanted to do when we were married, but she didn't want to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, now I have the freedom to do that. I had the freedom to go to the lake, spend time with my friends every 4th of July, and they loved it so much. Super cheap vacation, so I listened to my kids.
Yeah.
And even if when my ex would take ideas, it really wasn't her taking ideas. It was really the kids were expressing what they wanted to do versus going to a theme park every year versus sitting around and staring at people that they don't really enjoy being around.
Yeah.
And I do prop her up for that because she did embrace that. And I, as a man, had to swallow my pride and go, my kids are getting those experiences. And I think, and that's good.
Yeah. And I think, to be a good father, to be the best version of ourselves that we can try to be is to encourage that kind of thing and not be the parent that lets our hurt or our anger or our distrust or anything like that slip into those conversations. So it's like, we do the things that we do with our kids and we support the ex with the things that they do with the kids. As long as it's positive, as long as it's encouraging, as long as it's something that's healthy and shows love for the kids, encourage it. If there's a conflict, the kids should not be involved in that conflict. Whether the other parent draws them in or not, we don't need to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And it shows that character when you're able to be the better man or a better person. And it doesn't mean that they're being a bad person.
No.
It's like you're choosing not to reflect negatively because your kids see it. They see how you handle adversity. They see how you react. I one great example is when Kira was struggling to want to come over because of my more recent ex. She was scared to tell me.
Yeah.
She was scared, so scared it was going to hurt my feelings, so scared it was going to do this. So then my ex-wife would step in for her and speak for her. And that's what would piss me off.
Right.
Because she was teaching our daughter that if it's too hard, let me do it for you, because that's what she was used to her mom doing for her. And I just told her, I'm like, I need to fail first before you do that. I go, let me be the asshole or get upset and be horrible because it only helps you. I go, or you can actually encourage our daughter to do something hard. Have that hard conversation. It's like, hey, Dad, I really don't want to come. Don't lie to me. Don't do this. But like, tell me, so-and-so really kind of makes it hard for me to be there. Like, it's miserable. And the sad thing is I would have related to that 100%.
Because she probably didn't know that you were suffering.
Well, no, because I mean, yeah, I was, but because I grew up with that.
Yeah.
I went to my dad's house and my stepmom, and they put fucking locks on the cabinets so we couldn't get food. We had to ask permission to pee. We slept on the floor. She would purposely make
that's horrible
meals that were horrible, like potato pizza. What fucking kid wants potato pizza? And she'd make like spinach pancakes and all this stuff. We're trying to make your dad healthy. I'm like, oh, whatever, fuck. I don't care. I don't be healthy. Yeah. And so it was just hard. And down the road, she learned that because I had to like But they were eye openings because, okay,
Yeah.
what am I doing?
Right.
But my ex was projecting how we communicated and assumed I was doing that to my daughter,
Yeah.
which was not
Yeah.
true at all.
But recognizing that, getting to the point where you recognize that process, recognize that pattern, and then making the changes, it builds the trust with our kids when they see that we recognize what they're feeling, what they're thinking, what they're struggling with, and we help adapt with them.
Yeah.
You know, that helps build that relationship long term. I'm grateful that I have a good relationship with all of my kids.
Yeah, you really do. I'm jealous.
It's
You know, I got
I took
got
a
the great
lot of
fiance
shit for a long time. You what?
I got the great fiance. You got the
You got the great fiance. Yeah. So, all right. Well, hey, if you've liked this conversation, follow, subscribe, let us know what has helped you move forward.
Yeah.
What have you learned in the process of being a parent in a divorce situation? Let us know what your struggles have been and what your successes have been. We want to hear those too.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys stopping in. I know divorce is hard.
Very
it does
hard.
get easier. The first year is the toughest. You're going to be angry, sad.
Mad.
I mean, everything.
All the,
Every
all the
emotion.
feels, depressed. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have all those things. And it's important to take care of yourself. Don't become the victim. Don't allow her to make you the villain. And just control your life in a way that you're showing your kids how to deal with a really hard thing to go through.
And you do that by how you respond and what you do moving forward. So
All right,
hang in there. It's okay. It'll be all right.
All right. Thanks for joining us, guys. Stay classy, Kansas City.